Welcome back, Ninerds, to another episode of Inside the Nine. Today, fucking garage. Forgot the garage part. This is so fun. That's it, right? You're out. You're done. Well, we have Nate for 30 more seconds, so let's see how quickly we can get through this. All right. Welcome back, Ninerds, to another episode of Inside the Nine here in the Niner Garage. Today we are going to be discussing WFO 9 RDO, and we are joined by our senior graphic designer, Nate Adams, who has a long and storied history, and he's also ridden the bike a couple times too. So let's jump in. So WFO 9 RDO, we released this bike in April of 2021, and this is the third iteration of this bike. We brought Nate in here. He's our senior graphic designer, and we just wanted to discuss sort of, the history of the bike, why it's so unique, what makes it so cool, and its legacy here at Niner. So first of all, the bike was introduced in 2009. It was actually one of the very early long travel 29ers, right?
Sure.
So, I mean, it was sort of game changer, I guess, if you want to call it that. I mean, what do you think it meant for the industry in general?
There was not a lot of long travel 29ers, and by long travel back then, we're saying 140, 150.
Right, so I mean, that's like a trail bike today, right? I mean, that's exactly. Short travel almost in 2021 parlance, so.
For sure.
That's crazy.
Yeah, 2009, we did the 140 mil travel WFO.
Yep.
In aluminum, and then 2014 we did the 150 mil travel WFO.
Okay, so 5 years later it was redesigned, still aluminum, still 29-inch wheels, but just bumped the travel numbers up, right? Maybe a little bit of geometry change, but probably not a ton, right? I mean, we're still talking 2014.
Right, exactly.
Okay, and now, so you told me off camera that you rode that bike at with the 2014 at the EWS and maybe some other races. Can you sort of run down those real quick?
Yeah, that was part of our testing program, was riding the 150 mil travel WFO at EWS. We took it out to Utah, did some of the free ridey stuff.
Okay.
And yeah, it was just comfortable.
Right, big wheels, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's wagon wheels in 2014. Again, I mean, I still feel like 2014, a lot of companies maybe had them at that time, but it was still relatively new. So yeah, kind of a big deal to be hitting big jumps or gnarly tracks, big wheels. Okay. Well, so again, a little bit of a history lesson there for those early WFOs. Now, the new one, again, ground up redesign for a long time. The Rip 9 RDO was sort of like the biggest bike in our lineup, and it's sort of now the middle child, if you will. This new one is, as the name might suggest, 29-inch wheels front and rear. We now have 170 rear travel, 180 front travel. We've got Fox 38 up front, Float X2 in the rear with trunnion mount. So we've really tried hard to incorporate all of those like most progressive, most new technologies to ensure that the bike is, modern. What sorts of other things we got going on here, Nate? What are some of the things that are unique to Niner and the WFO for 2021?
With this bike, we added a lot of protection, down tube protection for putting it on your tailgate.
Which is
shuttling,
huge, right? I
yeah.
mean, yeah, everyone does that now, right?
Yeah, and of course, lower on the down tube where rocks tend to fly up and that sort of thing.
Okay.
It does have 170 mils of travel in the rear, which might be a little intimidating. But my first takeaway from when I rode it was how efficient it pedaled. So it was not that much more difficult to pedal than the Rip.
Right. I mean, obviously, like Niner's patented CVA suspension, we designed it to ride well sort of everywhere, right? I mean, you can smash, like, talking Alps, whatever, like big EWS tracks, you can take it to the park, or you can ride your local trails, and it still pedals pretty well for such a big bike, right? I mean, this is one step below a free ride bike or a downhill bike, so.
Right. It's not just a park bike.
Cool.
I ride it on the local trails here.
Right, which is awesome. I mean, I think that's a pretty big, sort of feather in our cap, right? I mean, this is a big bike. You can ride it every day, and it's not going to be completely intimidating. I think that's cool. That's really cool. Some other things about this frame that are sort of unique to Niner. We do have the lower rib cage around the shock. that was really just designed to enhance lower frame stiffness, right? Is that the whole idea behind it there?
Yep.
Okay. We also have our new sort of cable wicket guide for the rear brake and rear derailleur housing. So the full sleeve housing runs through the main triangle to our new cable wickets. Those are going to keep the cables next to the seat tube and just out of the way of pedaling, that sort of stuff. And then they will run full sleeved to the rear end of the bike. Again, whether it's your brake or your shifter mounting positions. Let's talk some geo, Nate. What do we have for geometry numbers on this guy?
Well, in the low mode, it's a 64-degree head tube angle and 77-degree seat tube angle.
I mean, again, proper modern numbers, right? I mean,
Yeah.
64 is like, it's slack, but it's also what a lot of other people are doing. So it's not going to be anything sort of too out there wild, steep or slack, which I think is great.
I really appreciate it.
Cool. Yeah, rides well. And then what happens when we go from low to high?
It raises the bottom bracket by approximately 9 millimeters.
Okay.
And then changes the angles by 0.7 degrees.
Yeah, I mean, almost a degree head and seat tube angle, raises the bottom bracket. I mean, again, so we're talking like you can go from proper EWS smasher to like a very sort of pedalable trail bike, right? I mean, take it up to your local trails and just have a great long ride, whatever you want to do, depending upon your flavors.
For sure.
Cool. All right, and a few more details on the frame before we toss it back over to Nate. For the suspension linkage system, we chose to go with the Enduro Max black oxide bearing. Top shelf bearing, we chose it for its longevity and precision. In the rear of the bike, we've got SRAM's universal derailleur hanger. So, you know, if you're out there, smash a rock and rip your derailleur hanger off, you can get one of those pretty much anywhere in the world at this point. And last but not least, 29 by 2.6 tire clearance. So if you're running like a 30-ish mil internal rim, you'll have a nice square profile, be able to use those side knobs a little bit better. Let's head over to Nate, talk about some paint colors and some other last little bits.
Well, yeah, this is the Hot Tamale. It's kind of a legacy color for Niner.
Okay.
It actually happens to be the color of the very first bike I had in my childhood, which is kind of cool.
Nice.
The secondary color is Fade to Black. It's a nice Metallica reference, but we didn't take it from Metallica.
No, not at all.
No.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
So, yeah. And it also carries a lifetime warranty.
Sweet. And maybe just a little hint about the graphics or the graphic choice, graphic treatment. What do we got going on there? What's new?
I kind of simplified it with this bike. There's not a lot of masking lines. I just wanted to just kind of show the beauty of the ID.
Okay, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, if you know some of our other bikes, RLT, MCR, those bikes are a little bit more complicated with the topo on them, but with the mountain bike, you want to steer clear of that and maybe just keep it simple, keep it clean.
For sure.
Well, I think that's great. The bike's awesome. We love it. The WFO is our new Enduro bike, and feel free to check it out at ninerbikes.com. Follow us on Instagram, follow us on Facebook. Be sure to like and subscribe. If you have any questions or comments about the WFO, leave them in the comment section below. We will be doing many more of these videos, and hopefully we might even have Nate on here once or twice again if we can steal him from his lunch.
You mean if you can afford me?
That too. Thanks again, and we'll see you out on the trails.